Department roll call.
Markovich.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Vines. Here. Kalwinski.
Here.
Yulaki. Higgs.
Here.
Emerson.
Here.
Hinojosa. Opinker.
Here. Moving on to reading of minutes.
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
motion to accept the minutes from June 22nd, 2015.
There's a motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Coenzi to accept the minutes. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on the acceptance of the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. Moving on to the approval of claims.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman
Move for approval of claims June 22nd
Through July 8 for council meeting July 13. Beginning with claims dated 7/6/15 and ending with claims dated 7/8/15. Claim number 3576 through 3954 for a total of $20,080,000, $856.05. I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs on the acceptance of the claims. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
I have one addition.
It's going to be claim number 3955. To the Hammond Hermits, $600. For a donation to sponsor two teams competing in the state championship at $300 each team. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs for amended claims. Is there any discussion on amended claims? Department roll call vote on the amended claims.
Markovich.
Yes.
Vitale.
Yes.
Vines. Yes. Kalwinski.
Yes.
Yulaki. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Hinojosa. Opinker.
Yes, amended claims passed 7-0, 2 absent. Now the claims as written.
Markovich.
Yes.
Vitale.
Yes.
Vines. Yes. Kalwinski.
Yes.
Yulaki. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Hinojosa. Opinker.
Yes, claims passed 7-0, 2 absent. Moving on to public hearings, there are none. Next will be communications. Is there any communications? Any communications?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I just wanted to personally say thank you to those who participated and helped out with the annual 3-on-3 basketball tournament, which was held June 22nd, 27th in my district at MLK Park. I want to say a special thanks to Councilman Markovich, and I have a plaque I would like to present to him. It says, "Who's Got Game? Anthony Higgs in appreciation of Bob Markovich, Hammond 3rd District Councilman, 3-on-3 basketball tournament, June 27, 2015. Thank you, Councilman Markovich.
Thank you. You know, plaques aren't needed or anything. A lot of that's been going on in the 3rd District with this basketball, it brings all the kids together. And a lot of it we do for volunteers, and we're doing it for the kids. I mean, I want to thank Councilman Higgs for the plaque. And I guess a lot of the individuals that live in the 3rd District and in East Hammond, that's where I grew up, that's where I played ball. I went to school at Hammond Tech 40-something years ago, and I got one of my classmates out there, Tommy Dorsey. We played together and everything, and we know what it's all about. It's for the kids. And, you know, God forbid, I mean, the way things are going now, all these shootings and stuff and all of that, I mean, if basketball is one of the things that can bring them together and just, you know, bring it out on the court, do it out there, but don't carry it off the court. And that's what it is. I mean, it's a nice affair that Anthony put together. It brings them all together and so forth, and the competition, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you saw in the paper here in East Chicago where they brought back a lot of the old players in basketball prior to 2000, and then the younger ones after 2000. I wasn't able to go to it, but I would have loved to have gone to it. And it sounds like they had a good time. They had 600 people out there, and it's about basketball. And I can recall just going in the back here and playing basketball during the summer on Maywood Park, when they used to have the park programs, softball. We were played at different parks and everything, the competition. And I just pray to God that a lot of this stuff has to stop. And I see Chuck Hughes out there. I mean, him playing in Roosevelt and being involved with the chamber and everything. And we go way back when too. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that somebody's going to remember something from 40 years ago. Remember when we did this? I mean, there's people come up to me and says, "Well, remember this game and
Referee made that call and cost you the game. That stuff you never forget. You never forget.
And it's a good thing that you never want to forget. But the things that are happening now, I mean, I just hope it all changes. And I don't know the answer. Everybody tries to do the best they can with it. And I guess the only thing you can really do is just pray to God. And be careful. I guess back then, if you wanted to shoot your mouth off to somebody or whatever, you took it out on the court or whatever. But now you can't even look at anybody because they're pulling a knife or gun out and they're killing you over some stupid look or whatever. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just talking from the heart, and I guess that's just the way it is. So, again, thank you.
Okay, I received a letter from Indiana Department of Transportation. Reads as this: Dear Honorable Sirs and Madam of the Council, thank you for contacting my office with concerns about Cayman Avenue, US 41 in Hammond, specifically between 165th Street and Sibley. NDOT crews are scheduled to repave sections of Cayman Avenue in Hammond during the month of July. This is part of the pavement preservation project. Crews will repave the worst section of the roadway in patches. Ideally, all NDOT projects would result in full replacement and restoration of the affected pavement. However, current funding restraints prevent this from being an option. A solution is needed for long-term funding mechanisms to continue to improve Indiana's invaluable infrastructure. NDOT is hopeful the Indiana General Assembly or respective U.S. houses will work toward an improved funding goal for NDOT in 2015/16 to ensure Hoosiers roadways are the best they can be. It is the goal of NDOT to be good partners with the communities our state highways connect. Please feel free to contact me with any additional questions or concerns you may have. Rick Powers, District Deputy Commissioner, Northwest District, Indiana Department of Transportation. Any other communications? Communications is now closed. Moving on to committee reports.
President?
Councilman Spitali.
Council Hall is going to bring out 15-27.
Any other committee reports?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Venez.
I would like to announce the upcoming Community and Crime Watch meetings. On Tuesday, July 21st, the East Hammond Pullman Crime Watch will meet at 6:30 p.m. at the Ophelia Steen Center. On Thursday, July 16th, the South Hammond Crime Watch will meet at the Hammond Housing Authority building on 173rd at 7 p.m. I would also like to announce that coming up on August 4th, the Community and Crime Watch groups are partnering with the City of Hammond to host the 32nd Annual National Night Out. It is a drug and crime prevention event. And just on our flyer, we talk about what National Night Out is designed to do. And I'd like to read the mission of National Night Out: to heighten crime and drug prevention awareness, to generate support for and participation in local anti-crime efforts, to strengthen neighborhood spirit and police and community partnerships, and send a message to criminals, letting them know neighborhoods are organized and fighting back. More than ever, it's important for all of us to find out where the Crime Watch meets in our neighborhood. You don't have to go to a meeting in your specific neighborhood. You can go to any of the Crime Watch meetings and get whatever information you are looking for, because that is how change happens. One person, one gesture, one moment at a time. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Committee reports are now closed. Moving on to ordinances, third and final reading. Final passage.
1527, an ordinance amending ordinances 9207, 8880, 8942, 8091, 9016, 9072, 9207, and 9124, creating a voluntary retirement program in 2015 for certain eligible employees of the City of Hammond.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
final passage of 1527.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilwoman Vines for final passage of 1527. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
originally this was written up, that this will not be offered for the next 2 years. I'm amending in that it will be not offered for at least the next 3 years. Everything else is the same as it was in 2013. This program here, this one is for the retirement. They have to have signed up no later than Tuesday, September 1st, 2015, and retire prior to Thursday, December 31st, 2015. An employee who signs up for this program cannot withdraw after Tuesday, September 1st, 2015. So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been amended on 1527 by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilwoman Vines. Is there any discussion on the amended version?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
just to ask the sponsor, why would you want to go from
2 to 3 years, what's the purpose of that?
It's to get those that are eligible for the time to make forth that effort at this time.
But if we're gonna make it 3 years, what if there's somebody that wants to leave after next year, or after 2 years, and now they're gonna be stuck for the third year then? Why would we wanna do that? If somebody wants to go earlier, why would you wanna force somebody to work longer than what they want to?
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
call up the city controller, please.
Mr. President, I think to answer that question, it's really just to encourage those who are at that point to consider the buyout. Doesn't prevent anybody from leaving next year or the year after. It just states that this will not be offered to them in a buyout form until 3 years have passed. It would be at your guys' discretion, of course, if you were to take this up again at a later point.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
just going to read a couple of paragraphs in this particular ordinance. It says, A one-time voluntary retirement program awarded $1,000 for each year of employment completed prior to retirement of the city of Hammond. For example, 10 years of service would equal $10,000. B would continue to be covered as a retiree under the City of Hammond insurance. Such retiree status would require the city insurance to be a secondary insurance subordinate to Medicaid and subordinate to other employees if and when the eligible employee finds other employment and provides health insurance. C is eligible employees electing to participate in this program will be required to sign a release waiver and voluntary retirement requirement program agreement. The waiver and agreement will advise the employee of the rights and the responsibilities under the program and advise them to seek independent legal counsel prior to the signing of the document.
Any other discussion?
Mr. President, I think at the last meeting that we had, according to the minutes, Councilman Higgs requested to be added in response to that, Councilman.
Correct.
discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Hayes.
I think some of the conversation that came up in caucus was whether or not employees would come back as work as consultants. And I think that was the concern that Councilman Markovich had. Of course, he's here and he can answer to that question, but in previous incidents where people have retired, they came back and made more money. So in this essence of this particular ordinance, as a controller, do you feel as though any of those particular employees that are eligible for this will be coming back as consultants?
The ordinance prevents them from coming back full-time, as we discussed. It does not prevent them from coming back as a part-time employee or as a consultant to the city. As we discussed in caucus also, there's really very few individuals who could come back part-time and still afford to live without taking their PERF. You have to separate employment in order to withdraw your pension benefits. So if you were to retire and then come back part-time, that's not in essence separating employment. You'd still be considered an employee of the city and would not be eligible to withdraw your PERF benefits. There are situations where individual may be brought back on as a consultant. There's not been any contracts discussed at this point. We are, unfortunately, if you take a look at those who are eligible, there are a handful of employees who've been with us for a long period of time. They hold high positions in the city. They have a lot of knowledge that we would like to take advantage of. Replacing them is going to be very difficult, so there might be a circumstance where a few of them would be brought back on a consulting basis, at least initially, for their replacement to be able to contact in times of emergency or when there are questions that come up on the job. But there's not been any contracts to that nature discussed at this point that I'm aware of.
Mr. President.
Councilman Hayes.
Just have one other question, and that would be as it relates to the 10% share. Have you defined which employees will get the proceeds from the 10% share versus their departments?
That comes down to what is available within the 10% and what is remaining in departmental budgets, whether there's enough there to accommodate these individuals leaving. So there is a list, and it's about 23 individuals who are eligible at this point. I don't anticipate that all will take it. Those numbers will be determined September 1st, which gives us plenty of time to review that within the budget schedule before the end of the year. And so it'll just be a mixture between those funds wherever it's available. That's how it was put into the last ordinance, and we just mirrored that this time around.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
the only thing that I would have a problem with, let's just say that, somebody retires,
You know, at a salary of $90,000, which there are some at that point. So they take the retirement, and we turn around and we hire somebody new, and we're going to hire somebody new at $90,000 with no 40 years of experience.
That may not be the case.
Well, but see, what I'm looking at then is that if in case that does happen, I mean, I can understand, and we need to hire that other person as a consultant and help the new person out. But I feel that if we hire somebody in that position, that they shouldn't be getting the full $90,000 because they don't have 40 years of experience. So the only thing I would be looking at is that if anybody is hired in that position, that it be a reduction of 25% in salary until they can learn something or whatever. Because in essence, what we do, if we hire somebody new with no experience, we're paying that $90,000, plus we're probably going to be paying another at an hourly basis the same amount of money, so we're paying twice the amount, and who knows how long that's going to be.
I can't speak for every position. I still don't know, like you said, who will take this and who will not. Typically, though, if some of these positions would move up through the ranks, I will tell you, when I took over as controller, I did not come on as the same salary as the previous controller because I did not have his experience. So I'm sure that will be taken into consideration when the new salary is offered to the individual replacing those who take the buyout.
Because I do know some of the cities in town.
what they're doing in their budgets, they're not being hired at that same high salary. It's just like in the building trades, they have what they call an apprenticeship program.
There is no guarantee with this buyout that the individual who comes and fills that position will make the same amount as the prior employee.
Well, there's no guarantee, but if that's what it is in the budget,
Well, you also set the salary ordinance.
well, we'll set the salary orders, but we set it for next year, and if it's $90,000 and somebody takes a retirement, and you bring in somebody off the street without 40 years of experience, they're gonna get the $90,000.
That is partially why we are requiring them to sign up for this by September 1st, and they can't withdraw after September 1st. So we will know at that point exactly who's taking the buyout, what positions will be open in next year's budget, we'll be able to set the salary ordinance that you will all approve.
Okay, yeah, but,
And then
okay.
the person who fills that position will come in at the salary dictated by the salary ordinance.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense then, if that's right. Okay, I can understand that. But see, I know with some of the budget,
The cities and towns are doing, let's say they're saying that the salary is gonna be from 65,000 to 80,000. That's gonna be the range, and then depending on who applies and what experience and what education they have, whether they're a professional engineer, like if you take an engineering department, you know, then they could
probably get more money or whatever.
We sometimes, with our job postings, offer them at a salary range, but we can't exceed what's actually in the salary ordinance. So that's the bottom number. There are no ranges in the salary ordinance. You guys will set that. So we would have, I would hope that we would have someone in mind to fill those positions before next year comes when we're adopting the salary ordinance this year.
But we can set the budget, and whatever the budget is,
You cannot give them a salary that's higher than what's in the budget.
Correct.
So, I mean, so
The
whatever the
salary
salary
ordinance
ordinance says, you can offer them 100,000, but if there's only 60,000 in the budget, they're gonna have to take the job for 60, and that's it.
We cannot, in the controller's office, pay somebody more than what is set, their salary is set in the salary ordinance which you pass.
But I always thought that you could set the salary at 100,000, but if the budget says only 60,000, you can't still pay them the 100,000.
What you pass in the salary ordinance with the budget, that is what State Board of Accounts is looking at.
See, now
So
you're putting a disclaimer with the budget.
It comes with, you pass,
Right.
you don't have to pass it with the budget, we typically do. Does it make sense? What is put into the budget are the numbers that are in the salary ordinance. They're done in the salary ordinance by position. When we put them into the budget, there may be 3 people at that same position, so you will see a budget line item for a higher amount because it's accommodating 3 individuals at that same salary. So to answer your question, there is not a point when what you see in the budget and what you see in the salary ordinance are different things.
you're saying it's not different?
No, they're always the same number. We always use the same number there. If it were to come back and the state said that we can't spend this much money and we need to reduce the budget, and we had to come back and look at salaries, that would come before you again to do so. So it's never going to be a point where the budget says this individual makes this much and the salary ordinance says they make something different. They have to match.
Right, right.
So we will have this information about the buyout and hopefully who will be replacing that individual in time for the budget hearing. So you guys will set that amount when that time comes.
Mr. President. Councilman Higgs?
So I guess my question would be, as it relates to the consultants, how do you determine what they're going to do?
That's really not my call.
Any other discussion? Carmen, roll call vote on the amended version of 1527.
Markovich?
No.
Vitelli?
Yes.
Vines?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Ulaki? Higgs?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Hinojosa? Opinker?
Yes. Amended version of 1527 passes 6-1, 2 absent. Now 1527 as written. Carmen, roll call vote.
Markovich?
Yes.
Vitelli?
Yes.
Vines?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Ulaki? Higgs?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Hinojosa? Opinker?
Yes, 1527 passes 7-0, 2 absent. Okay, that concludes our final passage of ordinances. Moving on to introduction of ordinances, there are none. From there are resolutions.
15, a resolution supporting civility in Hammond.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I move for final passage of 15R15.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Vines, second by Councilman Spitali, final passage of 15R15. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I don't know how it really happened, but it seems that we've become a society that lacks respect for oneself and for others. We see it every day from our leaders in Washington. and those who want to be leaders. Our own state lacks tolerance for those who think and live differently than them. Our music, our TV shows, our behavior in general has deviated from the standard of respectability and civility. I saw an editorial in the Times from Mr. Bob Heiss about a campaign called Civility Counts that is being promoted in Northwest Indiana, and I knew this was the perfect time for Hammond to set the standard and support the efforts of the Whiting Robertsdale and Gary Chambers of Commerce in promoting Civility Counts. So I ask for final passage of 15R15.
Any other discussion on 15R15? Carmen, roll call vote on 15R15.
Markovich?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Inez?
Yes.
Kalmanski? Yolaki? Higgs?
Whatever, Mr. President.
Councilman Higgs?
I didn't hear anyone second the motion. Oh, you second? Okay. Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Hinojosa? Opinger?
Yes. 15R15 passes 7-0, 2 absent. Moving on to new and unfinished business.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President.
Councilman Kowinski.
Thank you. A motion, please, for intent to consider for ordinance 15-28, reclassifying certain lands in the city of Hammond to take place on 7/27/2015.
Second.
There's a motion of intent to consider 1528. Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Emerson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Intent to consider passes. Any
Mr.
other?
President,
Councilman Higgs.
I received the correspondence from the Hammond Civic Center's 5825 Stowe Avenue, Hammond, Indiana. It says, Dear Councilman Higgs, 3rd District Council of the Hammond Common Council, 5925 South Calumet Avenue, room 207, Hammond, Indiana, 4632. Dear Councilman Higgs, as per your request, June 11, 2015 attached, I found that Pastor Polk of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church of Hammond, Indiana, 1117 Merrill Street, currently owns the Memorial Park property at Highland Street and Wallace Road. As a courtesy, the Hammond Public Works Department has cut the grass on the cave. This agreement is currently under review until the administration can best decide how to move forward with this property. If you have any other questions, please contact me. Sincerely, Donna Mueller.
Any other new and finished business?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
the 14th annual Back to School Supply Giveaway will be held August 15, 2015, at 12 to 2 at Martin Luther King Park Pavilion located on Highland and Columbia Avenue, sponsored by yours truly, Councilman Higgs, and it also is a rally to rally the children of Hammond High School as well. And I think Ms. King is here to speak on that issue later on under the public expression. That'll be August 15th, 2015.
Okay, any other new and finished business?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I move for final passage of 15-22.
Motion by Councilwoman Vines for final passage of 1522, second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
this is the reclassification from C4, which is general commercial, to I1, which is light industrial, for the property at 5228 to 5238 Calumet and 710 Michigan Street.
Any other discussion? Carmen, roll call vote on 1522.
Markovich?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Inez?
Yes.
Kalmanski?
Yes.
Yolaki? Higgs?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
1522 passes 7-0, 2 absent. Any other new and finished business?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I'd like to send a letter to the Hammond Police Department requesting them to beef up the patrol in my district, is preferably, the 1100 block, I mean, not the 1100, 1000 block of Highland and Eaton, where there's been a couple of shootings, and, Merrill Street, the 1000 block of Merrill. I don't know what they think this is, or just, you can just start shooting around here, but, whatever we gotta do to stop it, I'm willing to do. So let me make that part of the record so no one's misconstrued. We will not tolerate shootings.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Higgs to beef up patrol in the 3rd District. Streets you name. All those in favor? Send a letter to PD. Who seconded it?
I'll second.
Councilman Markovich. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion granted.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I think there was a shooting, in Little Waco, as they call it. And as I was listening to WJOB, for some reason or another, they thought it was in the 3rd District. But whether it's in the 3rd or the 2nd, it's not tolerated. It's not acceptable. We will not tolerate people going around killing innocent people, shooting in their homes, and whatever we got to do to rally the troops up, to go door to door. I, as Councilman Higgs, will lead that effort, whatever is necessary. And from my understanding, a young lady lost her life, which was ridiculous. And then another young man also lost his life. And it's just, I've never, in all the years that I've lived in Hammond, I've never heard of such. This is ridiculous, and it has to stop.
Any other new and finished business? New and finished business is now closed. Moving on to public expression. Reiterate, each speaker has 3 minutes. First speaker of the evening, and when you do come up, state obviously your name, address, where you live. First speaker will be Carlotta Blake King.
Good evening, Carlotta Blake King, 1004 Highland Street, Hammond. And thank you, Councilman Higgs, for allowing us to speak briefly on the collaboration with the Hammond High School PTSA, putting together a hashtag All Student Lives Matters rally. We're doing in conjunction with your school giveaway, and we know the importance of how you're able to get the parents out, and it's an imperative that we get our parents in tune of what's going on at Hammond High School. Our mission is sound the alarm. We're here to endow our children with the spirit of excellence in regards to education. It's imperative. Myself, Ola Smith, and Rashalama Morris met together in putting all of the pieces together. We are planning on inviting Congressman Viskowski, Eddie Melton, who is the governor on the status of African American males for the state of Indiana. We do have a list of outstanding speakers to speak that day. Food, music, we've invited 92.3 radio to come on and just keep it up. We're trying to get the kids' spirit up. And in wake of the horrible death of Lauren Hubbard Cavello, we're going to even talk about stop the violence. So again, this is we're in the beginning stages. Our flyer should be ready by the end of the week, and our PR will begin as soon as that flyer is together. Thank you again, Councilman Higgs, for the collaboration.
Thank you, Ms. King. Next speaker will be Mr. Chuck Hughes, Erie Chamber.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Chuck Hughes, 909 Buckthorn Court, Valparaiso, Indiana. First, I'd like to say that I really appreciate the opportunity that we have to address you. Having been a member of the Gary City Council for 16 years, I know the myriad of issues that you deal with, but we want you to know that this civility campaign that we are impassioned about is not a cure-all for everything, but we believe that in every endeavor, every human endeavor, where there's an ounce of civility necessary, or if it's more severe, if there's a pound of civility necessary. We think that resolutions, disputes that Councilman Higgs and others have spoken about can be readily resolved. We come to the bodies of government because as leaders of this community, we know the example that you set. And we were sitting here and we certainly wanted to commend you on how you deliberated. I've never been to a council meeting that went this smoothly and this quickly in all my years of being a member of the council. So you're to be commended for that, believe me. But again, this campaign is simply an awareness campaign. There is no budgeting that's necessary. It requires no funding. We have no ownership, no proprietary rights to Hammond City Council. The city of Hammond can adopt this in any fashion that it chooses. We just believe that in anything that we do, be it at home, husband, wives, Democrats, Republicans, police, the community, Al-Qaeda in the United States, civility, if it's injected in any conversation, any activity, we just think that it'll benefit the community. Councilwoman Janess, want to thank you for your leadership and also want to thank all of you for your support. And Councilman Markovich, been noted for a long time. I don't want to change the tone or tenor of this, but when we start hearkening back about those old days of ball and recalling the memories, I'm glad I'm in Hammond instead of Chicago. Because at Gary Roosevelt, we always felt like John Morales cheated us. But thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Next speaker will be Mr. Gordon Bradshaw, Gary Chamber.
Good evening, Council. I'm Dr. Gordon Bradshaw, 22950 Eastbrook Drive, Sauk Village, Illinois. Board of Directors, Gary Chamber of Commerce, and Chairman of the Public Policy Committee, Gary Chamber. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to stand before you on this evening to have an opportunity to help push the Community Civility Counts initiative. It's an initiative that has quite a storied history, and it's only 90 days roughly in existence. We've had the opportunity to carry this message in a number of places, and one of the places that we had a chance to take it in the month of April of 2015 was to the Presidential Library of Gerald R. Ford in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We were invited there by a United Nations ambassador who saw the efforts and the work of the Gary Chamber of Commerce and saw the response that we were getting and said that he believed that this was something not only for the community, but for the nation and other nations as well. So Ambassador Clyde Rivers has adopted this as a part of his program for I Change Nations. So I'm proud to say that Community Civility Counts has been spreading not only in America, but beyond. We have a number of groups, corporations, and teams that have adopted this across the United States. And so we're so glad that the city of Hammond is a part of this now to join this great effort. It's going to take some time to get everybody on board with this, and we hope it's not just a campaign that's an idea, but not an activity. So we're hoping everybody gets involved and becomes part of this. So Community Civility Counts can be used anywhere. The emblem that we have come up with, the logo, is designed for you to use anywhere. You can use it on t-shirts, cups, banners. You can use it on letterheads. As Chuck Hughes said, we're claiming no proprietary rights to it, so we would everybody to just have an opportunity to spread the news
and to let everyone know that civility does count in the community. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bradshaw. Next speaker, Bob Heisey, Times Media Company.
Bob Heiss, 227 Carnoustie Court in Cherville, the editor of the Times. I want to thank you. You've become the third government body to endorse civility. The first was the Gary Council. The second is Lake County Council. Dave Ham is in the audience. We appreciate that. I cannot tell you how many readers pull me aside and thank me for either the campaign itself or the language we have at the top of the editorial page, which just says, let's just discuss everything in a civil manner. We can disagree, we can do all kinds of things, but let's discuss it civilly. There's a lot going on, and in particular, I want to let you know that we're talking to a group of charter schools that are talking about putting it into the curriculum and making it a model for the schools. And if that happens, it'll be something that a lot of people can share. The biggest public display of this will be happening next week in Whiting for the Pierogi Fest, which is attended by a 250,000 people. We are assembling a group of up to 400 volunteers who will greet people. We're almost fully filled. If you would like to do that as a group, or as a councilman, or as a member of the public, let us know tonight and we'll put you on that list. And I appreciate everything you've done. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Next speaker is Mr. George Stoddard. Next speaker, Pastor Jay Calloway.
Jay Calloway, 8225 North Munster, pastor of the Gate on Soul Avenue, 5670. Mr. President, council persons, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. First, let me say congratulations and thank you for passing the civility resolution. As we know that over the last few weeks, the violence in our city has gone to a new level. And we are seeing Chicago-style attacks on our neighborhood. The neighborhood I'm speaking of is the Jacob Square, or the Claude Street, Beale, Alice, that area, as well as the Highland and 170th place in Hammond. Through the course of this, it has hit our home and our church, as well as the neighborhood that we have invested in for the last 100+ years that our church has been on that street, as well as the last 26 years that I've been leading the church with feeding the poor and feeding those that need it, counseling from marriage to domestic violence and things of that nature. Through the course of that, we really believe that we have done a really good job in partnership with the city and the mayor, and as well as the schools, to continue on in our nonprofit endeavors. And as anything happens when you go in and take care of certain areas, even like in a garden, if you don't continue to maintain it and do things, there will be times where things will sprout up. So I'm not here to try to preach doom and gloom, because I think that Hammond has a great future, and the center city of Hammond has got a great future as well. So with that, we have launched out, and not being aware of what was going on with Ms. King and what she was sharing, we have gone ahead and I've met with the police chief, Chief Doty, as well as a couple of the council members, and through the course of that. And tomorrow we are going to be walking in that neighborhood and going door to door and just sharing the services that we have, from counseling to just needs, whatever it might be, as well as just care, and if there's any people that need to counsel, need to talk with the violence that has been going on. As well as next Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, we are opening up the gate for a town meeting for the neighborhood to be able just to come in. We believe that when we gather together and partner together, there's a passage in Scripture that says, when brothers dwell together, there lies the blessing of God. And I thought, what an incredible way that if the city comes together, as we have done for so many years, and we've been a vital part, as well as the mayor's office and the council has been a vital part of endorsing what we do as well as us endorse what you all do, that we come together. I believe that there will be supernatural blessing that will come to this city. And to do that, we want to gather together. So through the course of that, Trustee Frank Mervan has contacted us, and we will be partnering together with some of the resources that the township has, as well as the resources that we have together. And I think if we come together on this, as Councilman Higgs said, this has got to stop. The violence in the streets has got to stop. The shootings have got to stop. And I think it can't happen with just one segment of society. It has to happen with all of us gathering together. So with that, tomorrow at 11, we're going to be walking out, and it's not going to be a march or try to say anything else. Simply going to be to walk through the doors and say, you're not alone in this neighborhood. And we care for you, and we're here to help in whatever we can do. As well as next Tuesday, 7 p.m. at the Gate Church, 5670 Soul Avenue. We are opening up our doors for the neighborhood to come in and anyone else that would like to. And if any of the council members, Mayor, you're invited to come, and anyone else that would like to come and just say, what can we do together to be a part of this? And I think if the faith community, the nonprofit community, the corporate, the education community, the civil government, all of that around will come together, as well as law enforcement. If we gather together and we join arms, join hands, and whatever else we can join together, our resources, I think this can stop, and Hammond can continue to be the great city that it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
Next speaker is Ms. Ann Herbert.
My name is Ann Herbert, 5927 Longs Road, and I'd just like to bring up a couple people. First of all, I'm Vice President of the Hammond Neighborhood Crime Watch and also board member for the East Hammond Pullman Crime Watch. And a couple of the Crime Watch members are here today, and I'd like to bring them up because we just like to say that we are very supportive of anyone who is supporting against the crime that's happening in Hammond. And I'd just like to read what our mission statement is. The Hammond Neighborhood Crime Watch, Inc. is a bridge between the Hammond Police Department, the general law enforcement community, and the residents of Hammond, to include the business community also. The organization is committed to providing effective strategies, education, and knowledge through the affiliated neighborhood crime watch groups. The success of the organization achieved through consistently building relationships and individual participation, involvement in home and business owners. But Crime Watch will not cure all the problems that are facing the neighborhoods and in our community. It will not guarantee that crime will not occur in our neighborhoods. It will not encourage or promote the individual to take risks in order to prevent crime. And it will not promote vigilante activity outside of law enforcement. But the benefits of Crime Watch are that we will put the neighbor back into neighborhood by helping to bring the police and the community together as a team in combating crime. The team approach brings greater strength in numbers and resources to achieve these goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final speaker of the evening will be Mr. Alvin Cheeks.
Alvin Cheeks, A.M. Block, Romero. That one shooting, it happened a block away from my house. I approached those young guys, and I told them, you can't just be out here recklessly shooting. I think the thing what really needs to happen is that you have to sit down with the youth leaders. I know some people call them gang members and all of that. I grew up around Little Waco and Smiley and all of those guys. If we don't come up with a comprehensive approach where they see men out there, you can have all the reverends, all the police officers you like. These young guys are heavily armed and they don't respect nothing but the code that they live by. So if you want them to have an approach to being proactive, you have to sit down with them. You can sit down with anybody you like, but if you don't sit down with them and come up with a comprehensive way, you're not going to fix it. You know, I've been living in this neighborhood 48 years. I remember when my street went the other direction. You know, it has to stop. You know, I have an 11-year-old, and I'm not going to tolerate someone shooting on my block. They fixed the windows. We didn't get those young guys to the police. But what has to happen is that they have to see males out there on the street. You know, you can knock on all the doors. That's not how it go on the street. It's really not, you know. If you don't sit down and you explain to them how you want them to conduct themselves, if they don't, put them out the neighborhood. That's how it goes. Councilman Higgs, I'm sorry that it happened. It happened on my block, so I've been out every single night talking to them, approaching them. If you don't come out at night and come from behind the four walls, you're never going to stop these young guys. You know, those young guys that were shooting on us, they were 13 and 14 years old. Where'd a 13-year-old get a gun from? That's what you have to ask yourself. So I think that the thing that should happen is that it has to happen on the street where these young guys at. You can meet at churches and that. They don't go to church. If you don't approach them and approach their street governors, you are not going to stop the violence. You know, like I took my son out this weekend. I introduced him to every one of those young guys. And I said he's going to ride his skateboard in the neighborhood as long as he likes. And that's the way you have to approach them. You know, if we don't approach them and not be afraid, then it's just going to continue to happen. You know, I hear people saying guns create violence. Guns do not create violence. People create violence. You know, I know people want to go after the NRA and after guns. It doesn't work. The only thing that works is you approach them young guys and you give them something to do. If you don't give them jobs, if you don't give them a stability, then it's not going to happen. The one young guy that I talked to that gun shooting, he done been to JC's, he done been to jail. He think it's cool to shoot. If we don't show them how it should be, then they don't know. You know, I know people kind of say Lil Waco. I remember when it used to be real violent. We haven't had that many murders in our community, but it has to happen in a comprehensive way. So I challenge the council. I saw Councilman Higgs in Chicago. I said the same thing to DMX and Minister Faircount. We have to have a joint meeting with the people that matter. That's them young guys on the street. If you don't sit down with them, the violence is not going to stop. You can meet with the mayor, you can meet with the chief of police. Those young guys only understand one thing, that you sit down and you negotiate. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the life that they live in. So we're going to fix our community. We have to fix it in a comprehensive way. And I'm not prepared for my son, so I'm going to do everything I can. I appreciate you, Councilman Higgs. And I was told to tell you that we're probably 200 strong, so if you want to go out one night, it's not a problem.
Mr. President.
Councilman Higgs?
Make a motion to put that on the
Motion by Councilman Higgs to go back to new unfinished business. Second. Second by Councilman Spitali. All those in favor? Opposed? Back to new unfinished business.
Mr. President, first and foremost, I'd like to say to the minister that I've been on the council for 12 years. I've been actively involved in not just in Little Waco, but throughout the entire district. I've reached out to your congregation and your church on several occasions. For some reason or another, I didn't get a response. I just want to make that clear to you that now that you're here in front of me. Certainly there are some developments that are in the works that's going over on Soul Avenue currently. I have met with residents throughout Douglas Point. I've had meetings there, discussed issues, and certainly I am open for discussion and dialogue as it relates to that particular area. If you're not familiar, it corners the second and the third, and Mr. Torres, who was in the audience, I don't know if he's still here, who just won the nomination for the second district of the city of Hammond. So Mr. Yerlaki is currently holding that position, and now Mr. Torres is the nominee. But certainly there are some issues that are plagued within that particular area, and certainly I am willing to do whatever is necessary. Let me make that clear. Whatever is necessary to correct them or help you in your efforts. And also there's been a street been redeveloped with new lighting, as well as new sidewalks, as well as new infrastructure in the district. So in that particular precinct, which is just adjacent to your church as well as Ivy Tech. So for clarification and so that you're not thrown off or someone's giving you some misinformation, I would suggest that you reach out to me, and I'm certainly open to reach out to you and do what's necessary to move forward. Thank you.
Any other new unfinished business? Councilman Kowinski.
I'd like to take this moment to congratulate the 14 and under permits all-star team, Gavin downstate, and is currently in South Bend, hoping to move on. And congratulations to the 12 and under all-star team from Permits Little League, who are also moving on to state tournament play. Good luck to both teams, and make the most of your efforts. And if anyone is willing or interested in helping them with expenses related to housing, transportation, etc., the council has done some of that today with the planning, but if you're interested in doing that, you can contact the president of Hammond Hermits, David Lee, at 219-588 and 8506, and make a contribution. I think checks are made out to HHAA, which is Hammond Hermits Athletic Association. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other new unfinished business?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
just want to add one other thing. Alvin, you're correct in what you were stating. One of the things that's most needed in our community is jobs and programs for our youth. Because with an idle mind is the devil's worship. And if they don't have anything to look forward to and no opportunities, it makes them stagnant and feel useless. And the reality of it is, more programs and more jobs need to be implemented, especially in the area that I represent. I hear it on a day-to-day basis. People are crying out for employment. That's all I have to say.
Any other new unfinished business? New unfinished business is not closed. Motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilman Marquis, second by Councilman Higgs. All those in favor? Opposed?